Marvel Contest of Champions has created a number of new, unique, original characters. We have Morningstar, we have Guillotine, Civil Warrior. Today, we have the privilege to unveil a brand new character for you here today. So without further ado, we're going to show you a video of the origin and the making of Aegon. Enjoy.
Aegon is a brand new character that we created for this year for the Contest of Champions. He's an interesting character because he's connected to the lore of the contest. In simple terms, he is the first champion of the first Contest of Champions. Aegon is part of this race that is indigenous to the Battle Realm. His race is a pacifist race, but he wasn't. He wanted to be a warrior since he was young. So he decided to sneak in and fight in the Contest of Champions, even though he had no powers, no special abilities, no crazy technology. As he gets in, he meets this girl called Cleo, and she inspires him to be a better person and to fight, not only for glory in the arena, but for his people and try to free his people. He ends up, like, against all odds, beating all the contestants and going to the final against the master of the contest himself. Aegon fights and does his best, and then in the end he manages to beat the master. Cleo dies in the process, trying to save him from the master. The master explodes, and Aegon loses an arm. He wins the contest and he wins the freedom for his people, but the personal price was really high. The prize for winning the Contest of Champions is this belt made of the Isosphere. So he has the cosmic power of the ISO 8. So they give him the prize, and his people, after they get freed, they decide to leave. But because they have the really strict rules about war and violence, he becomes tainted to them. So he's not allowed to come with them, even though he fought for their freedom. So he just watches as Contest of Champions come and go, through the ages. He's just watching it. He doesn't want to fight anymore until he finds a new reason to come back. And that's what the story picks up in this new Contest of Champions.
When I designed Aegon, my main inspiration came through my discussions with Gabe about Aegon's backstory and personality. The main thing that shone through is that he can overcome insurmountable odds using just his pure fighting skill and his willpower. And that sort of core personality attribute sort of made me think about the combo meter that we have in the game, because they're sort of similar in that they really emphasize player skill and also allow you to overcome opponents just by getting a massive amount of hits and really racking up that meter. As his combo meter gets higher and higher, he's going to unlock more and more and more abilities, and he's going to become this overwhelming force that's sort of landing critical hits non-stop and really dealing a ton of damage to the opponent.
The biggest challenges we faced with Aegon were the arm effect. We worked closely with the rendering programmers to give us a bunch of tunable abilities to give the right glow effect and some alpha blends, and give us the opportunity to push the visual quality and really make it feel like he has this power and energy behind his attacks.
His arms probably is the biggest highlight on this character. Not only it can form and shape into various weapons, we could also blast out energy blasts.
He's able, in a fight, to summon a phantom version of his arm. So it's a powerful, energy version of his right arm. In special movements, he can summon maybe his arm or his arm with some kind of weapon, or sometimes just a discharge of energy. So it basically summons his willpower into this energy arm. And that's his major power, but also a painful reminder of what he lost during the process of winning the first Contest of Champions. I'm really lucky to see from the beginning until when the character comes out, and I follow every step of the process. It starts really with a sketch and a little bit of a story, but when you see the artist taking the little sketch that I did, and they take it and they sculpt it in 3D and they make it better, they take the next step and model it, and then at the texture level we'll make it better, add effects to it. The animators will have inspiration from different sources. They watch movies or watch videos and stuff like that and bring new ideas to the process. So the character is it grows at every step, and even when we put it out there, the fans have like, oh, this is so cool, I like this or that, and we always listening, so it's really cool. It takes a life of its own. I'm really proud of everything we created, like everything. Even the small stuff that people don't notice, but like we always like, oh, this is cool.
I just gotta say, the level of detail is pure, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. We talk about
Thank you.
Aegon, the origin, sacrifice. It's all about
Right.
sacrifice and what he lost.
Yeah.
His loved one, his arm. Talk about how a hero, especially a Marvel hero, deals with sacrifice.
Yeah, like Bill always says, everybody at some point of their life, they have a choice, right? In a situation like Aegon is facing, he could go one way or the other, right? In the beginning, it's all about the power and the glory in the arena. He wanted to become a gladiator. But then when he met Cleo, he started seeing that he could use that, his fighting skills to win the contest, not for himself, but become a hero for his people, right? And for her.
Now, with this character, what strategies could players implement playing with a one-armed character?
That's interesting. I'm not a designer, so I'm not going to get in a lot of detail. You can ask the guys that really designed the character. But yeah, even having one arm, he's a very, very powerful attack character. And his arm, they have different charges. You see, when people start playing with him, you see the color of the belt and the arm changes. You have different ways you can use the different colors of charges in the arm. I'm not going to give up too much, but yeah, he's coming next month. So.
And what's so amazing in watching the videos, you really see the thought and the strategic thinking and the time and the effort that goes in to create a character. And when you have the great power and responsibility to create an all-new Marvel character, we really have to sit back and we say, behind the scenes, what makes a Marvel character different from any other character from around the universe? And we get into these discussions of what sort of the ingredients of a Marvel character. And as Gabe said, at the heart of a Marvel character, it isn't so much their power and their abilities, it's the choice they make. Most of our heroes and villains almost have the same origin story. When you look at a Spider-Man and a Doc Ock, they're two outsiders who love science, who feel dumped upon, and through an accident they gain abilities. One, Spider-Man decides to be selfless, uses powers to help others. The other, Dr. Octopus, decides to be selfish, use those powers to make himself rich and get the acclaim that he's always wanted. So it's that kind of thought about what makes a hero. It's the choices they go through. And to go back to the arm, what's so great about that is it embraces the long history of Marvel characters, and that they're not perfect. They have challenges. They might be psychological, often they're physical. When you go way back to the beginning, Professor X in a wheelchair, Matt Murdock is blind, Donald Blake with his leg, Ben Grimm, now he has the heart of gold, but it's wrapped, it's covered up by this monstrous body. So Aegon, he's made this sacrifice, and as you said, he has that, even when he's fighting, and he can draw strength from it. It's a daily reminder of what he's done and what he's sacrificed and what he's lost for his people. But he decides through that loss to be a source of strength. And I think it's these sort of characters that really embrace what Marvel's all about.
Now, Marvel Contest of Champions continues to push the envelope with creating new characters. What is the journey with Marvel and Kabam creating these new characters?
We started, we wanted to show the rest of Marvel as a whole that we could be trusted. Because again, it's about power and responsibility. We don't want to, we want to make sure that everything we create can stand alongside Black Widow and Captain Marvel and Captain America and Spider-Man and Hulk. So again, we go from top to bottom and think about the ingredients. Before we created our all-new characters like Guillotine, first we started with some mashups, right?
Yeah. We have this month, for example, the symbiote characters, right?
So on the stylish shirt, you have Venom the Duck. What if Howard bonded with a Clintar symbiote? This horror, this beautiful horror, is a result. And he's paired with the Symbiote Supreme.
The Symbiote Supreme, which is a version of Doctor Strange that's being possessed. He's actually Stephen Strange from another universe. but it's a version of Stephen Strange that's a bit more evil and ambitious. So he delved into the dark arts and mixed with the symbiote, and he got possessed by it. So he's this evil, dark version of Doctor Strange. So the mashups they're really good. They're like fast food for us. They're like, we love doing those things because you can, what is the most outrageous character we can mix with a symbiote and see what it comes out of it, right?
What's interesting in the challenge is even within that where you're combining two known characters, we have to be careful of, okay, when they result, how can it still be identifiable of like, that's not a magic user, oh, that's Doctor Strange.
That's Doctor Strange.
And so we make choices about his silhouette, his cloak, the Eye of Agamotto, the shape of his hair, so that you know right away, oh, that's Stephen Strange, but he's been possessed and merged with a symbiote. And so when it comes to an all-new character, once we've cut our teeth on, okay, can we mash together two familiar things and then result in something new, but recognizable, how can we create something that's never been seen before?
Yep. Yes, those are hard.
Original,
and it all starts with discussions.
Yeah, yeah. There's always like the kernel of an idea, and then we start talking about it. What is this character? What is the character about? Like you said, it's not about the power. It's not about who beat who. It's about what the character wants, where he comes from. And in the case of Aegon, I think the kernel of the idea was like, what would a veteran of the Contest of Champions look like? What kind of toll, psychological and physical, would take to a hero? You know, all those heroes have been fighting in the contest for years. What would do to a person to fight in this cosmic contest for years? And Aegon he's like a cautionary tale. It's like, this is what happens when you're fighting in this cosmic contest. This is what's happened to you. And I think, like, for example, what people has done with the Punisher, and the idea of you know, being a veteran of war and the war coming back to you and never leaving your head. Aegon is like a cosmic version of that. He's a veteran and he has a lot of problems, but he decides to fight for what's good. And even when he doesn't want to fight anymore, when the real reason comes back, he always up to the fight, right? So that's the...
And that was so intriguing, and I remember when we first started talking, we said, let's get to the heart of the contest and answer the mystery. Who was the first champion of the original contest? And then the discussions began of how would that affect someone? Where have they been? What choices did they have to make to win the contest? Why are they coming back now? And so we really just began just with this whole story at first. Who he was. We love the idea that he comes from a race of pacifists. And he's not perfect at the beginning. It's another thing that in the beginning he wants to fight. But in fighting, in meeting Cleo, and in realizing, oh, you know, I really shouldn't just fight for my own gain. I should fight to free my people. And show this woman who I love that I can be a good person. But in so doing, he loses everything.
Even his own people.
His own people, yeah.
Cleo dies. He makes a sacrifice of attacking the master, loses the arm, and then when he goes to his people, and I've done it, I've freed you, they're like, no, you can't be with us. And so then he has that tragedy.
Yeah, it is a relatable story because you see sometimes people that defend, you know, our own freedom, sometimes when they come back to society, you know, they don't find their place, you know, so it's a story that's relatable to a lot of people.
Exactly. And then from the visuals, and here's what's fun, when you're designing a Marvel character, there's some secret mathematical kind of codes we go through our head to analyze, well, what makes a Marvel character? And I think it's clear to say when you look at most of our characters, just visually, there's little things like most of our most popular characters, they don't have 8 to 12 colors or even 5 colors. Most of our characters, when you analyze them, there's about 3 colors: Cap, red, white, and blue; Spider-Man, red, blue, white; Captain Marvel, red, blue, gold. So we kind of started with that guiding principle. Okay, we're going to design him. Let's make sure he doesn't have too many colors. And then, okay, we're going to reduce it to these 3 colors. What are the colors? And then you hit upon the great and classic combo of the blue and the orange. And then we talked about silhouette. So when you see a Marvel character from 10 feet away, if you just see a silhouette, you should be able to identify them, either through their shape or how they stand. So we talk a lot about what's the body type, how do they stand, how do they act, how does their entire design communicate and contribute to who they are.
Yeah, even on Aegon you can see that his arm is supposed to be painful. Even the phantom limb, you know, so every time he uses his big powers, you can see him like holding, and there's a prize for using his power. So we try to like convey that in the animation, you know, that he's not like super boastful. He's doing because he needs to do it.
And he follows in the grand tradition of Marvel tragic heroes.
Now, where does that idea manifest from a character that won the original champion? Like,
yeah. Well, we've been planting those seeds for a while now. We had some stories that, you know, talked about original race that lives in the battle realm from the beginning, and we put it right there in the middle of the story, and people, oh, why are you doing that? There's nothing related to what we're playing right now, but those are already the seeds for Aegon's race. We already had a story that shows how the Collector and the Grandmaster discovered the battle realm, and how that racer was already gone when they were there. So we've already been planting all the lore around Aegon. Now we're adding a little bit more. We already created another comic with Luke Ross to tell that story too. You know, we've seen some of the panels there. So we kind of picking the puzzle pieces, and you know, in the end, the image will start getting clear. And I can say that Aegon is intimately connected to Act 6 of the game. I'm not saying when Act 6 is coming, but this is the first step towards Act 6, because there's a reason why Aegon comes back, and that reason is going to be revealed pretty soon. And that reason is the first step towards Act 6, which is the end of our first arc of stories that started in 2014, Act 1 to 6.
And there is the magic word, story. What's so cool about contests is, you know, you're doing a fighting game. Some people would think, oh, does it need a story? And at Kabam and Marvel, we say,
Always
yes,
story.
yes, it does.
Everything that Marvel does, at the heart of everything we do, there is story. So here we are in the 4th year, and Gabe and the team has outlined this. It's almost like the mythology of the game that goes back for eons, and it's all thought out. And that's the beauty of it. The more you play, yeah, it's fun for the action and the fighting, but the more you play, the more you learn. And you more start peeling away the layers of this great contest. And I can say that it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah, and what an undertaking that must have been, like the web of history behind it. Now, the importance of that, how long did it take to undertake this entire journey, especially, you know, with Marvel and Kabam, like 2 huge companies coming together?
It started from the beginning, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
a good year before the launch of the game, right?
Yeah, we already talked about it, and there was a lot of the seeds that we're, you know, harvesting right now, but, you know, it keeps growing, and the more it grows, the more the story wants to be told. Yeah. There's more branches that we can explore, the more stuff that we can come back to. So yeah, now it becomes this big, you know, people seeing the image that we posted online with all the connections between the characters. That's becoming huge, and even for us, we're just like, oh, you remember what happened in that story like 8 months ago, and then I have to go to the office like, remember what happened, what that character said? So, you know, I imagine what you guys have to go through with the like 70 years of comic books, right?
We just walk into the vault and start picking up books.
Yeah.
And one last thing I want to say, what's so cool is that this is, you know, Aegon is officially blessed, real deal, authentic Marvel. By that I mean, through the process as we were developing his story, his visuals, I was sharing it all with the Marvel offices on the East Coast. So we're over on the West Coast in California. But every day, every time we got new sketches, new bios written by yourself, I would share all of that with our editor-in-chief, C.B. Cebulski, with Sana Amanat, with Joe Quesada looks at it as well. And we want to make sure that it has, that it feels like Marvel, it smells like Marvel, it feels real. They may have feedback, or sometimes they say, this is awesome. And then just earlier this week, I was at one of our Marvel editorial summits. We gathered together editors and a lot of writers and artists from around the world. We all get together for 3 days, and we kind of talk about the next 6 months to a year. And I was lucky enough to do a little presentation on the 3rd day and show some of the new characters. And there were a lot of oohs and ahs in the room, and everyone's like, "Is that ours?" And I'm like, "Yes,
that makes me happy.
It is ours. We can use him." And so that's the thing. It's a two-way street. We get influenced by the comic books, and then we're lucky enough to create new characters, and we shall see what the future holds. But one day it might be amazing to see Aegon then appear in the comic books.
Yes.
How many drafts does a character of this caliber take to get the final approval process through? of designs and animations.
It was months. Months.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of tweaking, you know. When a character feels right, you know it feels right, you know, but you know, a lot of people are involved, so we talked about details and change things. But if it doesn't feel right from the beginning, I don't think it's even worth pursuing, because everybody here, we're Marvel fans, so we know. When we look at something, we just, okay, we can change this color or this or some detail in the backstory, but you know, if it feels right from the beginning, everybody would know. So.
Right. And again, we consider all the ingredients of the character. You know, even even the powers. Just starting there. If we're going to create a new character, I'm going to be asked, Bill, we have 8,000 characters. Why are you creating someone new?
That's it? Only 8,000?
Only 8,000. But we have very good answers. You know, we want to have we don't have a character currently in Marvel that has this particular power set, that has this background, this personality, and that's kind of the agreement of we're going to add new toys to the toy chest. And again, that's a great responsibility. And so to do that, we have to promise that we're going to create things that's not just a duplication. We're going to create something all new, and that we feel is our duty.
Yes.
When you are a Marvel creator, you're lucky you get to play with all these awesome characters, but we have a responsibility to give back, and to add new things to Marvel lore. But again, in order to do that, we really have to do our due diligence and make sure it's unique, it's cool, it hasn't existed anywhere else, and that people around the world are going to love it.
We build some toys, but in case of the symbiotes, we like to break some toys too.
We break them and smash them
together.
Now, with the complexity of this character, what are your personal favorite parts of him that you can't wait for fans to get their hands on? The background, combat?
I'm a story guy, so I like to see the reaction when people see the story and see how everything connects. And I go to the forums and see people making the connections themselves and trying to guess what's coming. You know, the second character that's coming in this event is the champion of the universe, one of your favorites.
Love the champion.
Trico's Letters. Because it just made sense. You know, we had the Collector, we had the Grandmaster. Now the Grandmaster is the owner of the contest. The champion will come in and say, hey guys, out of my way, nerds. I'm the champion, so I'm going to win this thing and take over.
And here's what you got to do. You got to go to the Marvel Unlimited app. You got to check out, for me, which was my introduction to the champion. So there was a Marvel 2-in-1 annual written by Tom DeFalco that came out in the late 70s when it was kind of like Rocky Mania sweeping the nation. And me, as a dutiful son of Philadelphia, of course, I loved Rocky. And in the story, they introduced this new Elder of the Universe. So the elders are, you know, the Collector, the Gardener, the Grandmaster, and they introduced this all-new character, the Champion, and he was just obsessed on proving that he was the mightiest. So in this story, he comes to Earth, and he kidnaps a cross-section of superheroes.
Kind of a proto-contest of champions.
Yes, exactly. He kidnaps members, the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and Hulk, and Thor, and he gathers them all together, and he makes them box him, one by one, in Madison Square Garden to show that he is the mightiest. Sounds kind of goofy, but as a young lad, it was the greatest thing ever.
I'd buy tickets to that.
To see all the heroes together having to box this dude. And he was a badass. But most importantly, in the story, it was a Marvel 2-in-1 story focusing on the Thing. The Thing showed that even though he wasn't the most powerful or strongest, he had the biggest heart and the most willpower, and he wasn't going to give up fighting the champion. So go to the Marvel Unlimited app, check out the Marvel 2-in-1 annual, and you'll meet the champion.
And that's what Aegon is about. He's all about willpower. Yeah. That's the core of this character, willpower. He has no powers, no technology, but he beats everybody with his heart, his head. You know, he has one arm, and he beats everybody. So that's his willpower.
So we gotta say, when is the character coming? When can fans get to play him?
Both Aegon and the champion are coming in November, along with the whole storyline. Yeah.
And are there any tie-in events that fans can look forward to as well with that? Or is that
we're going to have a whole storyline based on Aegon and the champion. Like we have one with the Venom characters right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And there's also a Marvel Insider promotion going on right now, right?
Everybody has to, after our wonderful interview, head over to the Kabam booth. There's a postcard. It's a Marvel Insider scavenger hunt. All the information is on the card, and it will tell you how you can join the scavenger hunt and win awesome prizes. Check it out. Marvel Insider Scavenger Hunt, information on the postcard at the Kabam booth.
So if you could look back on the journey, the 4-year journey of this, what has been the most personal excitement, success story of your guys's with all of these characters that come out, all the fans, the forums? I think this is one of the most successful mobile games that Marvel has.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. A lot of mobile games, if they're lucky, could they last 6 months? Can they maybe last a year? We're going on the 4th year, and the game's just getting
still growing,
bigger and more popular. For me, 2 things. I'll say 3. Number 1, delivering all the characters that people love. Your Iron Mans, your Spider-Mans, your Black Panthers, your Captain Marvels. But I also love that we dig deep. We dig deep in the catalog. Because everyone has their favorite character. Sometimes you'll see a big crowd shot of Marvel heroes. And the most popular characters will be in the front. But sometimes you're like, who's that in the back? Man-Thing? What's a Man-Thing? I want to check that out. And so Gabe and I, who we grew up reading Marvel Comics, and we love discovering new characters and finding our own.
And rediscovering.
And for us to be able to go deep, as we said, in the Marvel Vault, and introduce characters that people may have forgotten about or not even known about, and bring them into the world, and remind people of how cool they are, that's a great honor. And then finally, of course, being able to create a new character. I mean, we were like all of you. I remember when I was 9 years old, sitting at home, drawing my own comics, trying to come up with my own new characters, dreaming one day, not even imagining that it could be possible, but I would give anything to join Marvel and maybe one day not only tell stories of my favorite heroes, but could I maybe contribute and create something new to the Marvel Universe? And now to see this happen on such a grand stage as New York Comic Con, it is an honor
and a privilege.
A privilege, yeah. And we take it very, very seriously, and we have a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah.
We're always very nervous. We got to get it right, but we never forget. Holy God, we get to create new characters. This is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe to this day that I get to do this every single day. And draw characters and create new characters and show it to you guys, and you guys show it to the publishing guys, people that I grew up hearing about. It's the moments for me is always those moments, right? When you talked about making Guillotine, and then that same night I went home and I started sketching, and I was like, I hope they like this, and and every single time it's the same. It never gets old. It's always an excitement. Even in the plane coming here, I was like writing a script for something that's going to happen in 2020 that I cannot talk about. Secrets. Yeah, we have big plans, and next year is going to be, I think we need a bigger booth because it's going to be big.
Wait, to plug the booth, actually at the booth they have a replica of Aegon's helmet.
Yep.
In the
it's one of the raffle prizes. We have a guillotine sword, Civil War shield, the helmet, Morning Star's mace, and you can go there and try your luck. And we're gonna have a huge tournament. Some of the guys are here trying to win the prize. Some of the best players from around the world. So
thank you all for coming out to check out the reveal of Aegon, Marvel Contest of Champions at New York Comic Con 2018.